Hello YouTubers. It's been a long time since I've made a video, and today I'm going to talk about a little bit about religion, specifically uh, where the Jewish and Christian religion came from, and I hope you have a open heart and an open mind, and I hope you learn something from this. Um, One day I was sitting down, and I was raised, first of all, I was raised, to believe, in God and Jesus from a young boy. And when I grew up, I went off on my own and did drugs and whatever, partied and all that stuff. Um, then I, thought, well, I'm not getting nowhere. I'm just gonna go back and serve God and and whatnot. Then I went back and started drinking again and doing drugs, and then came back. I don't know how many times I've done that, uh, but like I said, one day I was sitting down and I was thinking, well, who wrote the Bible? Where did these stories originally come from? The story of creation, the story of Moses, the story of Abraham, the story of Noah, and the New Testament, the story about Jesus, and the prophecies, of Jesus and also the end times. So then I decided, well, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna look this up, and I'm gonna find out, where these stories came from originally. If the Bible is, you know, and I used to think, the Bible was written by the Jews. The Old Testament was written by the Jews. I'm pretty sure maybe a lot of you Christians think that's what, that's who wrote the Old Testament. Uh, but after doing research, after researching and looking on YouTube, and finding out, I found out where these stories, originated from. I was surprised. I was like, well, I couldn't believe it. But there's a reason why the Jews wrote or copied these stories from ancient polytheistic religions, because it's recorded in history that, first of all, the ancient Babylonians conquered the Jews and took them as prisoners and were their captives for many years. And while they were held captive by the Babylonians, I believe that they studied their beliefs or their scriptures, about creation and Noah and the flood and whatnot. Believe it or not, the first people that wrote those stories were the first people that were ever, you know, exist on the planet Earth, which were the Sumerians. They have, they were the first to write. They were the first to have a democracy. They wrote down the laws of Moses. Believe it or not, you can study it for yourself. You can research it and study it for yourself, like I did, and find out, you know, that this story was copied from the Sumerian, Babylonian ancient texts. You know, the story of creation as well was copied from the Sumerian texts. Not, they did leave out, the Jews did leave out a lot of the you know, stories. You know, they chose, you know, which story, you know, I mean, they left out a lot, you know. It's not the whole story. What the Bible says, what happened, you know, in the creation story, is not the whole story, you know. Just like the Catholics, you know, left out a lot of books in the New Testament, like the Gospel of I think Timothy or whatever, and the Gospel of Mary and whatnot. The Catholics left out those books. The Book of Enoch was another one, and was widely taught to the Jewish people. You know, the Book of Enoch was widely taught. You know, the story was told for many years, you know, about Enoch and that he was a servant of God, and you know, was raptured and all, and then he went to heaven, and some of you might know or have read the Book of Enoch, and how he describes heaven, and that he went to different places. He was taken by an angel to different parts of heaven, and went also down to Hades and whatnot. And another story was the story of Moses. Recently, it's been, or not recently, but many years ago, let me see, I can't remember, well, when they deciphered, you know, the Egyptian language, they discovered the story of Moses. It's written in the hieroglyphs, and it's possible that Moses wasn't a Jew, and he was actually an Egyptian, and God spoke to him and told him that to lead the Jews out of Egypt and take them back to Israel. And I mean, believe it or not, that's where the story, that's where they say the story came from originally, and that's what the Bible more or less says, you know, that. But the Bible says that he was a Hebrew, and